So today we divide decimals. So dividing decimals, there's two things that I need to make sure you know about. Some of these problems are one step easier than some of the other problems. But before I jump in and just tell you stuff, do you have anything you guys remember about dividing decimals? What any of the strategy of that is?
I feel like
Not sure.
I was gonna say that I was thinking it was kind of like multiplication, where it doesn't matter where the decimal is.
It will, I mean, where the decimal is doesn't really matter for how you do the dividing, so it is like multiply in that sense. You don't have to really like line stuff up exactly. So regardless of where I put the decimals into this, 5 into 35 is going to have something to do with 7. So whether I put decimals here or there or here or there, no matter what, 5 into 35 has something to do with 7. I put the 7 on top of the 35. Since 5 can't go into 3, 5's too big to go into 3, I either do zeros or empties. 5 can go into 35, I do the 7 above the 5. So I agree with that in the sense that dividing, you kind of divide the numbers acting like the decimals aren't quite there. But there are two things that have to do with the decimal points that we need to remember. Anybody have anything there? Memories?
However many numbers are on the right of the decimal.
Okay, we aren't going to do the same kind of counting. So there's two rules. One thing first is you have to have a whole number divisor. The divisor has to be a whole number before you can start to really do much of anything. Which one's the divisor?
Yeah.
The one on the outside. So this problem is good. This is a whole number divisor. This problem's good. That's a whole number divisor. We can just jump in and start dividing. These, we have a decimal in the divisor, so we can't just start dividing. We'll talk about those in about 2 minutes. Second ruling is that once you're done, the decimal goes straight up. So kind of like how we had to be on adding and subtracting day, a little careful to keep the decimals in a line and not be a big messy mess and get everything all weird and crooked. You need to be a little bit neat and careful because the decimal, when we're done, goes straight up. So this decimal, straight up. I'd say 0.7. The book would say 0.7, and we're okay with either of those. Question about decimal went straight up. This one has a further complication. Okay, 5 can't go into 3, so if you want to, you can put a 0. 5 can go into 36 7 times, because we just did that. That gets us to 35. We'd subtract. We get a remainder of 1. You can't get remainders in decimal division. There's another thing that we do when it seems like we're getting a remainder for decimal division. Does anybody remember what you do in decimal division when that happens?
Add it to the answer.
You don't exactly. Okay, what's invisibly here?
0.
A 0. So we're going to take that 0 that's invisibly there, and we're just going to drop zeros until the thing cooperates with us and stops. 5 goes into 10 2 times, and then the decimal point from the problem goes straight up. Just be careful, because sometimes there's zeros that need to go into gaps when you leave gaps, but that one didn't leave any gaps. Question about those two? Why is this one not ready right now to divide?
Because the divider is not a whole number.
Not a whole number. So we have to take the decimal in the divisor and go right 1 position. If the divisor goes right 1 position, do you remember what else has to happen? The dividend has to move the same amount. So if this moves over 1, this is going to move over 1. This has to move over 3. So this has to move 3. This one has to move 2. So this moves 2. So start off doing that. If the divisor has a decimal, you have to move both divisor and dividend to fix that. When we're all done, the decimal's going to go straight up, decimal goes straight up, decimal goes straight up. Not from where it was before, but from where we moved it to be now. Question about that? 9 into 45 is nice. 9 into 45 goes. evenly 5 times. It's just a question of where to put the 5. Where should I put the 5? Above which position? Above the 0, above the 4, or above the 5? Above the 5. 9 can't go into 0. 9 can't go into 4. 9 can go into 45, so put the 5 above the 5. So who's got to go above the 4 is a 0. Above the 0 is a 0. And this, if you want to put the 0, you can, but I don't care about that piece of real estate there. Question about that. So this one goes same kind of way. 5 can go into 8 once, gets us
4. 3.
7?
It's tree.
1 times 5.
It's
Get a 5 there to eventually get us
tree.
3. If you get a remainder, we just said a minute ago,
0.
throw a 0. 5 into 30,
6.
6, and we're good. The decimal went straight up. We have no gaps. We're just set with 0.16.
I'm so smart.
Is it possible in a problem you might have to throw a 0 more than just one round?
Yes.
Yes. So you just throw zeros until it either repeats or ends. Sooner or later, it has to either repeat or end, so you throw zeros till it cooperates. 2-digit divisors sometimes freak people out, so I suggest you do this by thinking about rounding and estimating. 39 is pretty close to 40. Act like it's not a 40, but act like it's a 4. And ask yourself, how many times can 4 go into 28? 4 into 28, probably 7. Okay, because we did some rounding, I wouldn't rule out 6, I wouldn't rule out 8, but I'd always try 7 first. 39 into this, where should I put the 7 above who?
0.
Above the 0 is correct. 39 is too big to be with 28. It's got to be 280. So the 7 goes above the 0 in the 280 and takes 7 times that, starts with
39.
7 times 9?
63.
63, carry the 6. 7 times 3,
21.
add the 6,
27.
27. Subtract
1.
280 minus 273.
7.
7, and drop the
8.
8. And then go again. Okay, 78 is pretty close to 78 itself is pretty close to 80. Ignore the 0, act like it's an 8. 39 into 78 is probably like 4 into 8, which is probably 2. You just said 2 a minute ago, so I was going back to you when it was time to say the 2. To check it, take 2 times 39, 2 times 9,
18.
18, carry the 1, 2 times 3, add that 1,
7.
and that's perfect, so we just wrap it up with 7.2. Question about that? So we'll do the same thing we did the last couple days. I have a sheet for you to just verify that you know what you're doing. The left group is like my left group. The whole numbers are already there for the divisors. The decimal just has to slide straight up when you divide. There are a couple of these that you're going to have to mess around with the zeros. Then the second group of these are like the other group, the ones on the right. You have to move things over to make whole number divisors and pay for that inside. So do these, I'll check them when you're done. The homework on this, we're going to do pieces of 2 sets. If your book is still open to the set P that we had to do today, you can probably see what we're going to do is set Q and R. Okay, but set Q and R, we're going to skip that third column. So most of the books, somebody probably crossed that off for other years. The 3, 6, 9, 12, that third column, we're skipping those on the Q and R. Tomorrow we'll do a review. We'll be taking a quiz on all this decimal stuff in 2 days.